From Mumbai to New Delhi, Ganapati festival is in full swing across India. Hello there, you are watching Inside South Asia with me, Dasani Atharda, and let's get started. The dire economic situation in Pakistan is just one end of its problems. Clashes in Pakistan's Balochistan region, along with disputes with Afghanistan, as well as internal terror attacks, coupled with political face-offs spiraling out of control, is an unending list of problems in the country. Here's the story.
Armed skirmishes between Pakistan Frontier Corps and the Taliban on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border are routine these days. Firing into each other's territory has taken on ugly proportions into 2024 as Pakistan-Taliban relations sour. A fierce clash on Sunday evening in Khurram province killed at least 8 Afghan soldiers, including 2 key commanders, and 1 on the Pakistani side. Such skirmishes are not new. Attacks and counters in March had led to deaths and injuries. 3 points along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border, the Torkham border crossing, North Waziristan and Mastung have been particularly sensitive. Inside Pakistan, it's turned into a deluge. Brutal insurgent revenge attacks to terror bomb blasts and kidnappings these recent weeks and months. The ever-swirling insurgency in Balochistan, horrors unleashed by the Baloch Liberation Army and others, is just one face of it. Groups affiliated to the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan have also raised havoc in several parts of the country, including attacks on Pak army installations. Of 84 people killed in August, 57 were from Balochistan alone. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, 29 terrorist attacks claimed 25 lives. 2 attacks in Punjab injured 2 civilians and killed 2 attackers. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan has warned of resumption of suicide attacks that it had stopped for the last 2 years. What it calls a defensive jihad, with its suicide bombers moving in armed formation along the border. A major crackdown has taken off. A terror plot targeting the Punjab province has been foiled. 33 terrorists have been arrested, besides weapons and explosives seized. Who's to blame for the growing horrors? The blame game has taken political dimensions. Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar took pot shots at the Imran Khan government during a visit to London, blaming former ISI chief Faiz Hamid for the mess. The cup of tea in Kabul, he says, cost Pakistan forever.
Our 3-star general went to Kabul, and he could not have gone without the Prime Minister's approval. He said, "I'm just here to have a cup of tea." What happened then? Over 100 hardened criminals were released. Those released at that time are masterminding terrorism in Balochistan.
Come here just for a cup of tea.
The flux extends to the political scene. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan operates from jail, looking desperately to make inroads with the military that he knows calls the shots. Vendetta and witch hunts are said to be rife. Coming out of this endless mess seems distant.
The mood in Jammu and Kashmir is quite festive as the region heads for its first assembly polls in 10 years. Political campaigns are heavily underway, with politicians leaving no stone left unturned. From the political parties that are quite prominent to those of the banned organization Jamaat-e-Islami, all appear to be vying for political prominence in the region. Our WION correspondent, Idris Lone, filed this report.
The stage is set and election fever runs high. Political leaders are campaigning in every part of the Union Territory for the three-phase elections starting on the 18th of September. Jammu and Kashmir Assembly has 90 seats. Voting will be held for 24 seats in the first phase. Capital Srinagar is among 26 assembly segments going to polls on the 25th of September. The final phase will be held on the 1st of October. Results will be out on the 8th. These are the first assembly elections since the abrogation of Article 370, also the first in 10 years. Congress and National Conference are fighting the assembly polls as allies. The BJP is going it solo, though it is in talks with some independents. National Conference Vice President and former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah, has filed nomination papers from two constituencies. One is from his family bastion Gandarbal, the other from Budgam in central Kashmir. He said he wouldn't contest till full statehood was restored.
My headgear, my respect, and my cap are in your hands. I am here with folded hands that you all should support me. If we follow one rope and believe in God, we will for sure win. May God always protect you.
In contrast, former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has decided to stay away this time. She has fielded her daughter Iltija Mufti from a home constituency, Bijbehra, in South Kashmir. The constituency is considered a stronghold for her party, the People's Democratic Party or PDP, since 1996.
It has been PDP's record to speak for the development of J&K, for the paving of paths, for building universities and colleges, and aims for generating employment. That is why other parties are nervous and are going to the people. They have no option but to apologize to people. Youths are in jail for years and their parents are not allowed to see them. On the other hand, people contest elections from jails and are given security. When they attack our candidates, the police don't take action against them, but the EC sends notice to our candidates. So you should understand what it is about candidates contesting elections from jails.
Another big player this time, the Jamaat-e-Islami, the party returning after 4 decades, is backing a large number of independents. And it's expected that they could play a big role in government formation.
I am sure people will come out and vote and support us. I am hopeful that we will win. If there are some people not happy with our decision, but Jamaat is such that we will make sure every member is with us. My message to the people is that they should come out and vote for us, and we will make sure to work for them.
Candidates apart, it is the voter who sees himself getting a say in who will rule the state. Democracy sees the light after a decade of being muzzled.
It's true that people are showing so much interest in upcoming elections, and if we compare it with the previous times, people are fed up and they want to change things themselves. That is why so many people are participating in election campaigns. It's a democratic right of people to vote, and things can be changed due to it.
The 2024 India general elections in Jammu and Kashmir, the first after abrogation of Article 370, was seen as a huge success. The voter turnout was huge, making history. But the big question is now emerging, can J&K pull off a safe election? There's been an uptick in terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir, with security forces getting frequent inputs of cross-border infiltration. Perhaps that's the biggest immediate challenge.
Jammu and Kashmir is abuzz with the political campaigns ahead of the assembly elections. While the regional and national political parties are aggressively campaigning for the upcoming assembly election, it's the independent candidates that have added a new twist to the politics of Jammu and Kashmir. Over 200 independent candidates are in the fray for the first and the second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. But what is more important is whether these independent candidates will make a difference on the ground. With video journalist Feroz Idris Sloan for WION World is One.
Electioneering is also peaking in Sri Lanka, with the country expected to elect its next president on the 21st of September. The first election since 2 years ago, where the country was fighting a devastating economic crisis that resulted in food and fuel shortages. 2 years on, unbearable costs of living, food security, and fighting off poverty are still very real concerns. While the protests have calmed down, the anger simmers on.
Retired accountant Milton Pereira from Colombo had hoped to use his vote to vent his fury at what he had termed political mismanagement. Pereira died of chronic asthma in December, unable to afford medicines. His wife lives in damp, crumbling quarters in the capital, and ahead of elections, only a helplessness shows through.
This year is just like last year. I'm unemployed. I'm supported by my children. I survive on what they give. From this election, I hope I'll be able to get a new house. We have asked for a new house, since there are two families living in the same house, but I don't have much hope.
Street protests that racked Sri Lanka in 2022 are now a thing of the past, with the realization that they did little good. The people hope the power of their vote will. A UN report in 2023 said nearly 4 million Sri Lankans still face moderate food security. It said a quarter of all households had employed crisis strategies, cutting essential health expenses, taking children out of school, or selling farm equipment to make ends meet. Poverty rates rose for the fourth year in a row last year. Around a quarter of Sri Lanka's 22 million people lived below the poverty line in 2023.
This is what this whole election is about. There's a significant number of voters who are trying to send a strong message to the established political parties that they are very disappointed the way this country has been governed since independence.
Incumbent Ranil Wickremesinghe is seeking a mandate to continue tightening fiscal screws in line with a $2.9 billion IMF bailout to stabilize the economy. Inflation is down, interest rates have eased, and foreign reserves grew. 2% growth is expected for 2024. But benefits have not reached the common man. Therein lies the fight.
The obvious coping mechanism that many families have turned to is to try to send one member of their family overseas. And as we have seen in 2022 and 2023 and the first half of 2024, there was a large number of people who went overseas for foreign employment. So many of these poverty-stricken families probably are supplementing their income through remittances sent by a member of their family who is working overseas.
Accountability for the mayhem of recent years, hope for the future. That's largely what these elections are going to be about. The people only hope that they can be a turning point for a better Sri Lanka to come.
Another country in India's neighborhood that is teetering on economic collapse is the Maldives. The country's sovereign bonds are valued at record lows as big defaults lurk. The country's former vice president has blamed China for this collapse. Here's the story.
Mounting troubles for President Mohammad Muizzu on the economy front. His government that relied heavily on expected revenues is accused of ignoring warning signs. making crucial financial decisions based on shaky projections. Consumer inflation is up to record levels. Revenue from tourism, though improved, remains low. Economic debt and heavy dependence on imports and a dollar peg continue to strain foreign exchange reserves, making the Maldives vulnerable like never before. Gross reserves stood at $395 million as of June this year. Only $45 million of this is considered usable. Downgrades by credit rating agency Fitch have hurt sentiment badly. There's been a mass sell-off of Islamic bonds, or sukuk, pulling prices down to below 70 cents, reflecting mounting concerns on financial stability. The precarious financial position has sparked fears of a default on debt obligations. Former Maldives Vice President Ahmed Adib, speaking to WION, squarely blamed China for what he called a dangerous debt trap.
And there have been a lot of debts taken from China as well. And there are debts like for the housing, high interest rate loans from commercial banks of China as well. So these loans, yes, make it up quite part of the loans that we have to pay in future. So there has been talks with the president, with the Chinese government, but we haven't seen or not yet announced that how they will solve will they delay it? Will they, write it off? So we have to make tough decisions now and solve the problem before we go through a phase like Sri Lanka. So anyhow, there is a situation that has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed very quickly.
A critical coupon payment is due on 8th of October, less than a month away. The Maldives government is looking to negotiate a $400 million currency swap deal with India to shore up reserves, though concerns persist over whether this will be enough to avert a default.
History tells us that it has been always India, and not only for us, even for Sri Lanka. It was India who solved the problem, even after those difficult times they went through. So already India is helping Maldives even through this tough relationships between the last 9 months. And I believe that is where the relationship even improved. If I can remember correctly, last April, India delayed one of the payments that was due. And again, this September, they're giving leeway, delaying the payments that is due to India or State Bank of India. So there are things that India is doing to help Maldives in any way they can.
Adding geopolitical complexity to the financial crisis, the People's National Congress government, led by President Mohammad Mizu. As the country continues to align itself more closely with China, Mizu's India Out campaign has made investors wary. A default by the Maldives at this stage could have significant ripple effects across the region, with trade and financial markets being hit. It could also undermine confidence in other emerging markets. The Maldives faces a tough road ahead to regain economic stability. How it navigates the crisis, who comes to its support, and who doesn't will be closely watched.
A worrying study has reported that 85% of India's districts are prone to climate disasters. This study has also shown an interesting phenomenon where 45% of these districts are now experiencing a swapping effect. That means areas that were previously prone to severe flooding will now experience drought and vice versa. Take a look.
The 7th largest country by area, India is also the most populous nation on our planet. The issue of climate change, though, languishes at the bottom of priorities for political parties of all colors. But with each passing day, the urgency and attention needed to tackle the pressing issue is ratcheting up. A new study has revealed that more than 85% of districts in India are exposed to extreme climate events such as floods, droughts, and cyclones. IPE Global and ASRI India released this study putting out 4 warnings of the adverse effects of climate change in the country. Analyzing climate data from 1973 to 2023, the study found that the frequency, intensity, and unpredictability of these climate extremes have increased 4-fold in recent decades. The last decade alone witnessed a 5-fold surge in climate extremes. Experts are of the opinion that the need of the hour is hyper-granular risk assessment and the establishment of climate risk observatories in a bid to safeguard the Indian economy. An infrastructure climate fund to support climate-resilient infrastructure and locally led climate actions has also been suggested. Several concerning trends were also identified. Eastern, northeastern and southern zones of India are most prone to extreme flood events. A notable increase in drought conditions has been witnessed in southern states like Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Cities like Bengaluru, Pune, Ahmedabad, Patna and Prayagraj are victims of what's been called swapping trends between flooding and drought. Areas with huge rain shortages are now frequently flooded. Cities that saw frequent rain fury are now often parched. More than 60% of districts in states like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Gujarat and Rajasthan are bearing the brunt of multiple extreme climate events. With the Climate Week NYC 2024 scheduled to take place this month from the 22nd to 29th, this study is a timely reminder of the urgent need for comprehensive, localized climate risk assessments and targeted interventions to protect lives, livelihoods, and economies in India and beyond.
And that's all we have for you on our show this week. Before we leave, take a look at these visuals of Yudh Abhyas, a military exercise between India and the US that kicked off in Rajasthan. For the WION team, I'm Dasini Atada, and I will see you next week.